And the Wethersfield police demonstrated and recorded they have roles with other police forms with Los Solitos in Wethersfield and on and off Trinity College and on and off Central Connecticut State University, other overt criminal enterprises and private ones. They have been switching and forging names for years now. They've been fabricating audio and video into databases. The courts with them have roles with their Facebook pages with rape threats and other passion crimes after the World Trade Center attack. Before the World Trade Center attack, I didn't know it involved the former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, former standing chairperson on Racketeering Influenced and Corrupt Organization Act. He has a whole bunch of ties to people who have ties to different natures of, next to different body dumping spots and murder spots as the names next to them because of their roles with used remotely criminally foreign influence investigators. And then further, it's even easier to use the online investigators. So the campuses have been raising people to make internet companies and to have policies and speak about things about prejudice of you're hurting this person's feelings. They're dishonest with it. They're hiding what's actually recorded. And they've been replacing it with fabricated audio and video transcripts at other locations. So Trinity College has various courts family members. A Dr. Shub of Modern Languages has his wife involved with probate courts, involved with a whole bunch of people tied to Hartford Hospital and other locations like a Whiting Forensics. There is a Mark Violet, and there are people with the name. A whole bunch of people with their. I never had a class with Mark Violet in my life. He's involved with my neighbors, like with the name Cololo, also brought up by Wethersfield police, switching and forging names over the phones and other. And they've been fabricating police reports and making confessions attached to it. But the police reports have no writings to charge. And then they put what they want in databases and stick fake things. So they've been doing this through time as roles with all sides in criminal and civil cases, and with the lawyers, and with the victims, and with the victims' advocates and the sources of both sides, and the courts, switching names, forging sequences, because they're just speaking as knaves. Fake integrity, as since founding, our founders left us to demonstrate how and why torture and slavery against everyone was entrenched. Who would want to start a fight? Oh, that's debatable because it was only against black people. You're a sick. You see, they have our founders framed. Our founders told us to blame the breaching method on slavery, and how people would pretend that our founders had roles with it. And that's what they're doing to the mental health care experts, people who are citing research. They're faking conversations with people when they have to get involved, when people raise their voices, because they have roles with weapons and with bug sprays and poison off the records, which is not legal. Then they have crimes with them on the record too, and they're forging and switching names. So these are the sources of Judge Napolitano's Judging Freedom. They're also dishonest. They change what people say, or they'll ask you a question so you will extend it. Stay on the predicate acts with facts and the principal sex offender and the principal child abuser. Because it was juxtaposed natures of organized crime and wire crimes, including with the news he was involved with. WFSB has roles with a whole bunch of people from Wethersfield. That's a Rocky Hill news location, and with names next to them who are involved with the intelligence community, foreign and domestic, and with Trinity College and Central Connecticut State University, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. They forced Saudis to roles with deans they have, switching names, and with planting predicate acts with their family members and people intimately in other ways tied to them, involved with relative murders. And reported, even if they were reported fake, because there was untimely death at Trinity College too. Even if that was made up, there were people involved with predicate acts on my street with that. And the ones switching and forging names intercities at my other campuses I were at. And with names next to where I lived at, apartments and stuff. You have the leasing agents and stuff of apartments, criminally foreign influence. And through time with foreign and domestic military involved with these families, like with the name Cololo, with the Wethersfield police, forging and switching names, wire crime acts, methods, falsified police for through time, with the intelligence community, with their family members, with gun ranges associated with them. There's a Blue Trails gun range associated with people tied to the names Kerr and Demora, and they've been switching and forging names And they have roles with shopping centers through time and with ones along the Burlington Turnpike. There's something to do with the people that work at the Lowe's and at the Home Depot who have roles with the intelligence community, criminally foreign influence. And they do little sick trick, little punk things with behavior. So they have a detective Dylan and a guy who said he was his partner, who was involved with 2 speech class teachers I had that are also involved with drugs and medicines crimes with kids. I never had a personal conversation with them. One of them made it look like other, and then made me stay back. She was also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with a Pandolf family with all sides in criminal and civil cases. Their lawyers planting evidences, fake sides, and the differences of that are used by the courts switching and forging names with their family members. There are people with the name Spada and Delaferro who had intimate ties. Per the Colol, one of the Colols who brought them up, he asked me if I ever had intimate ties with her. He didn't say it nice like that. And I told him repeatedly no one time. At a Wethersfield reservoir. They had, like, when I was a freshman, there were people that used to hang around with each other that were my age. I think they hung around. One of them was I know other ones I never even saw on my campus. But one of them is one of the Cololos with the name Ray Cololo. There's more than one person with the name Ray Cololo. They're also on YouTube with a Ray Cololo, who's one of the ones with the Wethersfield police, involved with the policing of the internet companies too, involved forcing child abusers, planting fake evidences with the FBI. There are CIA and their family members. There are state police family members. There's also state police, a whole bunch of people tied to state police locations and conversations with people that worked at that state police place along the Burlington Turnpike who have roles with this. Also people who went to the religious spot on the Route 3 before it changed to the other place. But there are proofs that place too has people involved with this, with the intelligence community, with foreign and domestic military, medical, overt criminal enterprises, plural, and private ones, even if they're plainclothes police officers, because they also have acting professors, and they have them involved with the wife of one of the doctors who I never met and attached me to fake conversations. His name is Gilmore. There's also ones with the name Leahy that attached me to fake conversations, fake ties to themselves. These are also people preventing mandated law and pretending not to realize. Criminally foreign influence uses of the words people use when they fight, like passive aggression. I asked you guys calmly 50,000 times, getting me a response. And these people use crime methods where they make confessions through others and they're pretending it's not a confession. Before my new and past neighbors moved in, there were already people tied to them at Central Connecticut State University with this Detective Dillon and other people with the Wethersfield police involved with that, with where they used to be and where they are now, further involved with the foreign and domestic. Afghans, they force Saudis to collusions with them. The Saudis don't even realize. And where there's, and they realize for two, the Saudis forced themselves to collusions with them, with the attackers. See, they're using our identities. The same thing. These are people that Paul Zano sought me out to the only thing he ever said in front of me was Jew. And it wasn't to me, it was to my neighbor. He wouldn't even look at, in other words, I would not engage with them. He was trying to pretend to know me from distances and stuff in the past. I noticed that. I never had a class with him in grammar school. He was in grammar school pretending to know me from behind on my back. Never had anything to do with him. Then it was like time to run right in when I was going in there. And he recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. There's a Rick C.M. Faglione and there's a Mark C.M. Faglione. And they have neighbors of theirs involved with a Brian Silver and judges at the Britain Superior Court and ones with Hartford Courts and with Connecticut District Court involved with predicate acts all around me with names on my street and with these names on and off these campuses. So New Britain Superior Court has been putting fake things in their databases as collusions with the principal child defender I caught them with and other child abusers they had roles with before they were caught involved with this. They're pretending passions and emotions with doctors, patients, and criminals who run in and hide life progressions with them. Whole bunch of families with fire departments have been pretending to know me and repeating what other people tell them. All exception nature and demonstration of the same thing. These are also people that are getting played because I was in the Ninth Circuit Court right next to the World Trade Center towers right before the attack and shortly before it. And they attached me and others to fake conversations about the World Trade Center attack and the relativity of that. And since, too, WFSB, attached me to fake conversations with them, fake locations with them, fake conversations with others about that, too, and fake locations with others. WFSB, and they won't fix it. They're playing games, wire crime acts, and methods with their phones. They're involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, and with criminally foreign influence collusions at crime scenes. Now, so these are the kind of people who speak about crimes, but they have roles with predicate acts. Before they ever took an oath, they were involved with way worse than they're involved with putting little kids in jail for fake things. In other words. So they have all kinds of medical corruption. There's a Leahy family that pretended to have conversations with me, too. They're involved, too. They have their kids involved with child sex offenders and more medical. These same families have roles with overt criminal enterprises, Los Salitos. See the Los Salitos, even if they're undercover, police forms. See the Los Salitos and look up Los Salitos in Hartford, Connecticut, and look how they know to that spot next to Hartford Hospital. That's all the intelligence community. There's a I don't know if they were one of the ones who killed them. Could have been DeMoros, could have been IOs with some of the businesses there that are criminally involved, including with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants and their family members in a 2006 district court case. They also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed right before that. It has something to do with their roles with predicate acts on our Fox Connecticut News. Judge Napolitano was hiding this. See, good people be evil. That's one of the things we have to observe with New York City. Not an honest soul spoke for that. One of the things we have to observe with New Jersey. In other words, through time, they had all the time in the world to take us out of the tactically denatured suburbs, let alone the cities, before our founders were born. And they're still using corners of streets. So there are names on Church Street in Old Wethersfield who are involved with more and more wire crimes and federal evidences crimes and federal rules of evidences crimes and natures of identity theft, fraud, slanders, and planting fake motivations for it and sequence shifts, multiple criminal enterprises, including private ones involved with sexual circles and friends cliques on that street. So a whole bunch of people tied to the name Colo and DeMoral, they used to hang around as freshmen. I had nothing to do with them. Any exception, they use that criminally too. In other words, and then so there are all these people from my grade that I don't know at all. I never had classes with them. One's classes, and then you don't really know someone you're in a class. They're over there putting fake evidences. So Joe DeMoral and Ray Clo also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed people associated with Marco Mancini and Eric Klotz. Eric Klotz is one of the ones tied to where there was a home break-in years ago, or where it was years ago. It was reported that the police caught Joe DeMoral and Heather Hansen after they broke a window in my house there, and after the Tony DeMoral had called the police. And they hid what happened from my parents. I pulled a gun. I didn't know who it was. So in other words, and they told all about kinds of lies about me to my girlfriend, and then that was the only reason I was with them there. Had something to do with their roles all along Ridge Road, and a Mazzucato family has roles with the police chief Cintron and one years ago, and with people with Mazzucato with Modern Pastry also. So Mazzucato Bakery and Modern Pastry have roles with a John Maiano and Jonathan Maiano, and he has brothers and family members. And Alex Maiano only met one time. There are proofs that he has roles with people in Vermont, and he used my name behind my back to pretend other sequence shifts with his mother too. She walked by me one time real fast. I never had a conversation with him in my life. He was sequence shifting and saying things like in other words, he has roles with investigators, judges, and prosecutors, victims advocates, lawyers on both sides of cases that are used to lock in fake things, criminally foreign influence. They recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. It's their families' roles with the buildings next to the state capitol involved with it, and with an O'Brien family. Everything keeps going back to an O'Brien family, and a Cololo family, and a CM Faglione family have with some judges and prosecutors. They were planting fake things on evidences on corners of streets. They have some black KKK theme and Confederate flag theme punks with the medical families, like this Leahy family, with the judges and prosecutors personally and professionally criminally involved with them, and with Judge Napolitano, because I can't communicate with them now because they blocked me from posting on comments with YouTube. I've been asking a long time for a response for them forging and switching names. They understand what that means, and they're making excuses and fishing for a means to get away with it. So these are people that are forcing interpretations of the law that are tactically, that are criminally foreign influence readings of statutes and tactically delusions raw. They pretend they have to. You have to sue me for that. Get on paper, pick one name in sequence. I'll show you how fast it'll be done. See Wethersfield. So New Britain Superior Court, Hartford Courts, and Connecticut's District Court also have roles with a whole bunch of people on off the state corrections offices and on off the state prison offices. State judicial offices, also with the names next to those locations, involved with and as people involved with their conversations with their teachers and ones who had conversations with my teachers per their roles with the World Trade Center attack and the agencies and their family members involved. So there's a Scalora family that is also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by police and people that say that they're cousins who are involved with predicate acts on my street through time with them. I never saw them on my street in my life. They're involved with identity. I never saw them on a campus in my life. One time I saw him on a Glastonbury campus from a distance. He yelled out something to pretend he knew me, a subby Scalora. A Claudia Scalora is one of the ones on off the World Trade Center and the spots next to it. These are people that posted legal papers that were handed into the court, the Ninth Circuit Court next to the World Trade Center right before the attack on time. They postdated them from inside the court to appear late. That was proven after the World Trade Center attack. And that led up to a 2006 district court case that was also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. Names on all sides of that case, and the one in the Ninth Circuit court right next to the World Trade Center towers right before it. Names on all sides of criminal and civil cases and other cases tied. And the news at the same time, they planted fake evidences. So WFSB has predicate acts, World Trade Center predicate acts since too. They attached me to fake conversations with them about the World Trade Center. These are also with intelligence families next to Fox Connecticut News and next to WFSB. They are confessing this too. They're leaking this. No, they also pretend not to realize because they play a game with the phones where they play hear no evil, see no evil. So they're being directed to it by intelligence on and off their places in the spots next to them, which they are leaking involved with this. So I asked to have them fix the fake conversations with me 50,000 times. And now, they fake transcripts with the wire, with the police still, because no one's watching. They've been getting away with this. They have companies involved with the word favoritism with Wethersfield police. They're out of their mind, tactically delusions raw, criminally foreign influence. Their whole family members. There's a Jessica Cintron and the police chief Cintron, who's also one of the ones with the Mazzucato family, and that's their intimate ties. And with this, with and a police chief years ago or more than one is with the same house, like with the name Cololo. And there's people with the name Smith, also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, planting evidences on all sides of my house with the intelligence community and the people next to them, planting fake motivations. So we have to have a common means to counter aggression with poisons, smoke, guns, knife threats, all connected, all the connections to these people, intercities too. Whole bunch of people on Covington Street in New Britain. Before I ever went there and lived there in an apartment, they were recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with predicate acts with intelligence families on my street, involved with Central Connecticut State University in New Britain. I live in Wethersfield. They've been involved with all sides of the campuses, intercities through time. These are people involved with predicate acts with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, former standing chairperson of the Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization Act, in his defendant capacities, and with his co-defendants who went to campuses I went to, who also planted evidences there and at Trinity College, and they're forging and switching names. There's an officer named Darth Vader who is involved with this. So these are people from Hartford and New Britain campuses and police forms. They also how they move how they have manifest the police form right next to the campus, and they have one on the campus, and one at Trinity College in Central Connecticut State University. That's manifest where and how they're pretending they could speak for, like, oh, these people don't know about the logistical impositions of the Israelis or this. They're out of their minds. They have people pretending to be against Zion or what is it called? They have Jewish people involved pretending passions and emotions with the Paul Zana, who repeated Jew in front of me a bunch of times. Never had a conversation with them. They try to make it look like I had a conversation with them. They asked me to go with them to a Johnson Wales one time. They're putting fake natures of ties to me. Fake ties to me. It was why it was such a weird, boring car drive. There's also a Luigi Guerrera that my Saudi friend and others recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed are involved with predicate acts relative. Now, these are people that are involved with the World Trade Center attack and since with predicate acts that are World Trade Center oriented. You don't attach someone to a fake conversation about the World Trade Center as a news location. So WFSB, let's go. Let's fix that name, fake news, please. Pick one name in sequence and get them onto paper with the Wethersfield Police. These are also Rocky Hill Police Departments, Newington Police Departments, and Hartford Police Departments involved with the name Cololo, with the Wethersfield Police, with you guys, with predicate acts at the same time with other agencies and state police involved through time. Whiting Forensics has a Billy Grasso's body dumping spot and people associated with Enzo Fienza and his cousin and neighbors of theirs on Two Rod Highway and where it runs into Hang Dog Lane and the Brown Turnpike. And, the Hang Dog Lane runs into the Route 3, which is conjunctive to the state judicial branch offices. And names next to that, the spots next to it is involved with the Enzo Fienza and his cousin and their grandparents and their roles with the I think it's a Cortina tile. And they said that's where the body double spot of Billy Grasso was. And at the time, there was another report that it was somewhere else that he'd been dropped off, his body after it was murdered. Now, these are also people that were tied to a murder of a guy that reportedly was a friend of John Scully. And these are people that are involved with fake sides of issues with their collusions that way. They're pretending passions and emotions. These are people involved with the murder of Greg Kyler. Even if it was made up, the people involved with it are involved with other natures of predicate acts and criminally foreign influence uses of Mike Oliver by his probation officer, also involved with a Dean Alford from Trinity College, who's involved with a Joshua Stryker, who's been pretending to know me behind my back since I was a kid. And he's involved with uses of corner of a building one time to make a fake exception. If I try to describe it, a sequence of the next day, he's standing there making it look like implying that he's involved with the The confession in the form of a question a girl asked and she walked away before I give the answer. So you have little punks that will bring up big important subjects and lie about their motivations for it. Like we even as the news people, you're supposed to follow mandated law when someone reports a child abuse act, and the other ones. So instead, they changed people what they said to conspiracy theory. They have rules with criminally foreign influence readings of statutes and of precedents and of reality. They're still tactically delusions rot black pupils. Fear! Get them on paper, one name in sequence. Have them have them communicate about my behavior too. I'm going to show you things because they can't communicate honestly about how when I ask nicely 50,000 times, I ask you guys and or when I have aggression, because they attach people to fake aggression, fake conversations with themselves. You have behavior predators. They have the word. They have their patients and criminals involved with them interstate. There's a governor Malloy. I never had a conversation. I don't know him. He's involved with. He recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. His sources are involved with East Hartford locations with the intelligence community, and with the stripper places, and recorded is implied involved, is recorded involved also with the intelligence community. They've been planting evidences in sexual circles with foreign and domestic families, interstates involved with the campuses systems, out of their mind. So these are also roles with the subjects in the news, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, and then pretending other. So you see these serious things. These are people from Israel too, involved with Central Connecticut State University. Timing where I was going to be too. A guy with the thing. I was not rude to that guy at all. They try to plant like anti-Semitism. They have those little interreligious spots in their cliques. They have a Jewish community center with the judges and prosecutors involved with child offenders and with identity theft, fraud, slanders, planting evidences, fake natures of ties to me, fake ties to me, fake passions and emotions regarding what comes before them. They have roles with a child offender principal. There's also a Leahy family with kids in their family further involved with the pictures, with digital pictures, digital child offender principal, an upskirt principal in prison. Before he was caught, he was forced by the Leahy family roles with it. Men and women that all work in the triage with Hartford Hospital, mental health evaluations, and with other police forms, foreign and domestic military are also involved with it. The Britain Avenue in Hartford, the Britain Avenues, they're two parallel to each other. It has something to do with it. One of the family members of Hartford Court's confessions. And the only reason they made that confession, I pulled it out because her boyfriend and Eric Burgess is one of the ones next to the child campuses in West Hartford and fire departments involved with the intelligence community and the family members of deans, like a Dean Judd and his family members involved with, I never met in my life, Dean Judd. And they attached me to fake ties and fake natures of ties to Eric Burgess on campus. I never saw him on the campus of Central Connecticut State University in my life. Campuses that are filmed 24/7, they're putting faked audio and video on them. These are also people with the names DeMoro involved through time. There's a Mr. Abruzzi involved with overt criminal enterprises with them, some Los Solitos and other natures of criminal enterprises, and people involved with murders and relative body dumping spots. See how there's a girl on there's a reward on that list where there's a reward for solve a case. She was dragged to her death, reportedly from one of those spots next to Hartford Hospital, near where DeMoro's Market used to be. And on the other end of the street, there's the ILO's kitchen. And I think that was a tile place too. In other words, right next to Buckley High School. And at the other end of the street, I think that's Elliott Street, is the Hartford Hospital. On the other side of Franklin Avenue there. And that's where, like, if you watch the Los Solitos video, they point to that spot. There's proofs that they have unmarked police forms because they have on Church Street in Old Wethersfield. They have some foreign and domestic. They have people I don't know my name. And the ones I know their name, they're involved forging and switching names with various natures of federal criminals and all sides of criminal, legal and civil cases already they had roles with criminally foreign influence, including with the victims and their doctors. So it's a whole bunch of people on Trinity College that also got involved with the untimely death with names on my street in Wethersfield. Trinity College is in Hartford. These are the same ones that were involved with them on all sides of Central Connecticut State University. And they confirmed that there before a, 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 a Kyle Gill, a Tanya Gill, and their family members. Now she has a Tanya Cordone or Cordova or something like that. But it's Middletown police forms. These are also state police forms with a Whiting Forensics that was involved with cases criminally foreign influence, like the witness protection program, a case associated with that, and with the body dumping spot brought up. These are people off the state judicial branch offices, also with the name Potter. People with the name Potter. I don't know them. They sought me out on Facebook to confirm it. Joe DeMora, Mark, Eric Mendez is also one of the police families involved with child offenders, including sexual and medical and identity theft, frauds, slanders. I've never had a class with in my life. These are people that say the names of others to other students and to know they're going to remember them because they have other people tell that name first, right before then you know, okay, this person knows, then they're going to know I'm going to walk there. In other words, that's how they make confessions, where the confessions are important. So in other words, they confessed they messed up on falsified police reports and they showed me faked ones and they hid that. So they didn't just mess up. They're involved with federal evidences crimes, fake motivations, stacking the courts with fake evidences. So then things happen in the future, they can't afford to have it discerned. The body dumping spot of a serial killer and that guy reported to be the serial killer proven. And the names next to that spot were involved also before the World Trade Center attack, with the names that recorded and asked me for help regarding people from Hartford courts and the Britain Superior Court had affected them to ask me for help because they were influencing them to federal evidences crime, federal rules of evidences crime, identity theft, fraud, slanders, and the sabotage of people's education. These are also people through time connected with positions at other campuses. There's people with the name Luigi Guerrero, and he has a sister or two and extended family members who also have people that know my name, I don't know their name. The pretending passions and emotions out the window. With the child abusers. I had a shirt off too one day. One day the guy goes, "Put your shirt on." I don't even know what he looks like. I don't even know the car good enough yet. And there was a little girl there, and although there was kids in their yard in the field, they had no shirts on. So they're pretending passions and emotions because these little fake punks who cannot speak as men, legitimately. So they grew up with little fakes with other people's names they don't even know. I never had a class with Luigi Guerrero. It has something to do with Bryant University. As the people that recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed that Luigi is involved with them and his sister and their family members. These are also people with Elm Street, like at Elm Ridge Park in Rocky Hill. They recently had an Italian themed event out of nowhere. There was a Lombardo family there, and there was a Dominic Machete. I never had a conversation in my life. He was on a bus, walked by. I remember one or twice. And he's involved also with the people next to the Jonathan Maiano, I think his name is I forgot his name, Dave Santangelo. I think that's his name. If that's another person, I'm sorry about that. I don't know you either. So, but in other words, has something to do with their spots all along the Berlin Turnpike through time and other conjunctions to those streets. So my neighbor was friends with these people, and he used to hang around with people when he was a freshman. And some of them I met a couple times when I was a sophomore. Increasingly, they have ties with judges like a Judge Smith and people with the name, people next to on all sides of the community center has something to do with the community center, with the intelligence of Wethersfield Community Center, has roles with people with the intelligence community with sequence shifts, attaching kids to fake locations, fake sequence relativity to those locations. I never knew people used to go out to the community center until after my grade graduated. And John Mano came and begged me to let him drive me to school after my car was broken. There are proofs that it was broken by someone else by putting something in my gas tank or whatever. In other words, it had something to do with that. Because these are people, in other words. Also, the Wethersfield police said my other neighbor had involvements with stealing property, which they yelled out the window, which, in other words, supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So they had roles with child abuses of them, even though then they became involved with untimely death on Trinity College and with planting evidences on my street in Wethersfield tied to that. That's in Hartford, Connecticut. And they have a Joshua Stryker who's involved with the Dean Alford switching names, and with the probation officer of Mike Oliver. Mike Oliver is a boxer from Connecticut, and they set him up and abused his career with the judges and prosecutors personally criminally involved with those and with the locations involved. Has something to do with their roles out with New Britain Avenue in Hartford and Zion Street in Hartford, with names that are connected to Covington Street in New Britain with the intelligence community, who have also, I don't know if it's police forms that are pretending to be Los Solitos or are actually Los Solitos, but they have predicate acts with them. There are ones with the name Joey Quest, who has roles with Wethersfield police, with identity theft, fraud, slanders, and on Facebook, planting evidences with my neighbors and people tied to them. There's also a Fred Grisey who sought me out when I was in high school, when I was a junior in high school, sought me out to make confessions about his roles with this. In other words, and with the there are mayors and their family member, former Mayor Gold, and people that used to live where they lived are increasingly involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, and confessions to me from people that are tied to them, but having pretended me to fake ties to them in the past. One time, a Debbie Gold, when I was in second grade, came up from behind me and was yelling at me, going crazy. And then I yelled at her or something like that. And then she told on me and made it look like I started it. Made it look like I had a conversation. I don't even know her. I was walking in the hallway and she just was going crazy out of nowhere. That's the daughter of one of the former Mayor Gold. He's also involved with the Joe Aiello and other mayors on off Trinity College, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved also as roles with child offenders on and off other campuses, intercities, and child campuses too. He has roles with identity theft from frauds, time roles with a principal child offender, including these are people involved with sexual abuses of little girls with the roles of John DeMoro is one of the ones involved with overt criminal enterprise, Los Solitos, and other gangs, and foreign and domestic medical families like from Italy and from Korea involved with the DeMoros. John DeMoro and ones with the name Joe DeMoro. In Rocky Hill and Wethersfield, Koreans involved with Taekwondo places, involved with drugs and medicines crimes with the kids, identity thefts and frauds, also with Afghans and Israelis. They're sick with psychiatry, black pupils. You don't see the delusions that your leaders have. And in other words, that's not how you keep us safe with those morons speaking about trying to score points. Well, look, I know this is the logistics, and this. In other words, get down, get out, fix the fake news, and say we have to stop the agencies from using online companies. So then they'll punish them if they don't react. See, there's a torture method that goes with the extortion method that we have to be honest about. That was against George Washington. And when we're honest about it, it's a slavery method, distinctly against everyone. A fact, human nature oriented slavery method. You can't see that, black people. How that was left out when the question what caused slavery is brought up. See, the psychiatry people have roles with torture where they have a method where someone understands the history properly James Madison, George Washington, they had to counter extort the other founders. In other words, and Native Americans only were part of the reason they were capable of doing that. Otherwise, everyone would have been locked into too hurt, too sick from how they were making it in stages. And then it was going to get worse. And James Madison, they countered that. And George Washington, they countered that 13 counter positions within more than 13 colonies. And Wethersfield, Connecticut was the last of those 13 colonies. And these names also have roles on off Webb House, which they changed the name of, and on off the witch trials place, which we were not supposed to leave that separated from where and how. George Washington had to leave slavery entrenched, not by him. He wanted nothing to do with it. He told us to get the Constitution unabridged. James Madison too. See Marbury versus Madison. So see Marbury versus Madison. Get the interbranch to one name and sequence and onto paper. Don't let them hide behind YouTube videos. Don't let them hide behind their narratives and natures. Get them with the Wethersfield interbranch and the New Britain Superior Court, Hartford Court, and District Court people on paper. We have all sides in criminal and civil cases involved, and the news, planting evidences, and the victims and their advocates and their doctors, tactically, criminally, mental delusions raw. These are also a few abusers, roles with Sandy Hook names, leaders of the campuses further then and now, also with the news, further involved with this principal child abuser and medical family. They even have a prison campus with foreign and domestic medical, tactically delusions raw, involve crimes against innocent people to force a principal child abuser before he got caught. And while they're tactically delusions raw. Now, these are also people roles with the interbranch switching names with the foreign. And they should fear God for being WFSB attached me to fake conversations about WFSB with themselves and with others, and with their uses of the difference of that 3 ways simultaneously, because these are people that pretend not to understand people. And so follow mandated law for them. Follow mandated law for them. Get Judge Napolitano. Everyone get him on mandated law. Says when someone asks you to get the people on paper for the confessions and rape threats, and the British Superior Court has rape threats with the name KNERR. And then they made a whole bunch of other names with that. After that, I noticed that. In other words, these are also people involved with the Wethersfield police through time. There's a Judge Smith I had to write about a complaint in that court. He's also tied to the people with the child abuses, like a Subby Bajario is further involved with his kids, and people on off Central Connecticut State University in the Britain involved with Wethersfield child offenders, identity thefts, fraud, little creepy fake, Subby Bajario. Make sure you don't pretend you know me, and don't hide how the only time you knew me was you were planting evidences with foreign and domestic military and people involved with this Mark Violet and the military involved with him next to the state capitol. I never saw you there. I only know you with what's his name, Jeremy Grohl, in those spots next to the community center. And you guys pretending to know me. I never had classes with who were in my grade or what. I don't know. You were in my grade. I never had class with you. So I want your intelligence. I want your teacher's name involved with this too. I want you to make sure you don't forget. Pretend you don't know me. Don't pretend, and say sorry too to your wife if you're your wife or where you. I don't know what she's doing. A little creep like you, and keep my mind out of your little sick face. Sorry, Bajero, and get on paper with the judges and prosecutors. And your kids too, if you take much more time, including with Principal, I'm with his Leahy family. They have his daughter involved on Facebook with child offenders, including sexual and medical with them. So they have men and women in a Leahy family, and 2 of them with the name Brendan Leahy. Have roles with the mental evaluations, and they're using those databases to stack collusions with the overt criminal enterprise, foreign ones, as roles with the World Trade Center attack. Know how the World Trade Center is tied to these sick fake punks with medicines and their patients and criminals. Oh, I need the medicines. That's because you're saying fake things and other people are recording it. Yes, even especially if those are undercover pretended patients. That's why you should, in other words, if you don't talk, they just attach you to fake transcripts. And then I tried to talk about the second of 3 times they forced me there. They lied the second 2 times because I hide what I caught the first time. And then the news reports that they had problems in life. He went to a mental evaluation place. They use that as evidence all the time. That's what the police. They're gonna they're not allowed to yell. They tell people that's why they're psychopaths. They need to be trained and they need to be retrained. They need to be re-educated, and their delusions. They need to be taught about delusions. And the experts on delusions have failed. I'm not even a doctor. I'll delineate their delusions from their criminally influenced souls. See, when they speak about time, they're out of their minds. There's a wormhole, and this looks back at get the heck out. Sequence true before the order of the finite, the order of the finite, the order that is active now, the order that is progressive that we know is the future that's already valued here now. And there's that order of the future that we don't know about, but we know that. And we can learn more from that when we hold those 5 of those things positive, true always. We search if are they true always? Is something true always? Not denying the slave sequence, not denying the value of what came first. See, American history reading has left out the value of what came first, which is a breaching method sustained against Native Americans, which is a breaching method sustained against them through people who already had the same breaching method sustained against themselves. They replaced what we would have and should have remembered as history. So many ways the Native Americans were more sophisticated than we are now. They need to pretend others, so they hide behind a computer. If a word pops off, all the landlines don't have landline anymore. All the phone goes out like that, first thing. And why we would even need wars? We could transverse the earth now. Before our founders were even born, before cars and all that, the suburbs were designed to cause negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. With slavery entrenched north and south. And with the only means to cause positive value nature progressions, acts, and natures more and more, people are going to be collusions with criminally foreign influence natures of positive treatments. Follow mandated law. Wethersfield campuses and parents, get the ones who are hiding behind badges. Don't be cowards. Get them on paper, one name and sequence. Let's go. Where's this Subby Bajario live too? And get him on paper, because he's one of the ones recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed through time involved with child offenders, and further then and now with the principal child abuser, and more involved then and now. Also more school resource officers. And they have their families. One of the things that ties them is their roles to shopping centers like Town Line Drive Shopping Center and the spots next to it. The buildings at the corners of Church of a Town Line Drive and Celestine Highway has something to do with my past neighbors. And there's a Kerr family. Also with Officer Jerry Miller, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed on Facebook. He has roles planting evidences on all sides of my houses with names involved on Facebook, and he's pretending other. He said he was flying a drone and I was growing marijuana, and that was before it was legalized, and that was right before the end of the pandemic. Right before the pandemic started being popular, spoken through the news. And these are also people that were involved with the World Trade Center personally. Dan Keene and his mother, and I don't know if he has other siblings. I think he does have other siblings, but their neighbors are also involved. Ones I don't know the name of, tied to Joe DeMoro and Heather Hansen and a sexual circle they were in with the Kerr family also. And the Judge Smith put fake things in there with that. and with there's a Judge Killian who spoke big things in with the records still with child offenders and tactical delusions raw, and with doctors involved with abuses, sexual and medical at the same time. And these are ones with badges. A Mark Violet and a Mike Violet and their family have something to do with the spots next to Hartford Hospital with Los Solitos, and a girl who was dragged to her death. And those spots she was dragged to her death at. Like those three spots at the end of the Brawling Turnpike, like that Goodwin Hill golf course. There's something to do with people who are spreading lies and rumors, fake ties, fake natures that ties to me. And they all have ties to my neighbor, Ray Colo, and his father, Ray Colo. And there's a Donna Colo. I don't know her sister's name. The sister's name has roles with Newington police officers involved in Newington locations with this Jonathan Mile, too. Like with a golf place in Newington, Indian Hills Country Club has more people involved with child offenders and coaches from Wethersfield who are involved with drugs and medicines crimes where they spread rumors and fake ties, fake natures of ties to students, including their own. In other words, so get John Mao and his doctors and the people tied to him on paper to one name and sequence. He should fear God to hide and plot. And also Dean Keys is also involved with Jonathan Mao and other people. Dean Keys from Tunxus Community College has foreign and domestic bodies and sexual circles also involved with, religious delusions, religious psychopaths. They use the word extremism. People using the word extremism have delusions, criminal foreign influences. So get them onto paper too. With people, they have the people involved with the religious themed nutbags. Nothing against the religion. Follow mandatory law for them. Don't let them hide behind things. Give me a response for these campuses. Get them on paper, one name and sequence. Let's go. Let's go. Judge Dr. Shub of Modern Languages has a wife. I don't know her name. She's involved with some probate courts with these families that are involved working there, who have roles with drugs and medicine, crimes on my street, untimely deaths roles. And then years later, then that came up with the Terry involved at Trinity College and the people involved with the Ray Claw and this Joshua Stryker and Dean switching names and his roles with the murder with the people associated with the murder of Greg Kyler, a boxer, and as the probation officers of and judges associated with Mike Oliver. And these are also his trainer, Johnny Duke, the dinosaur of boxing on Zion Street in Hartford, right next to Trinity College. That's one of the names involved, also with Los Solitos, with Afghan leaders and their kids. A woman, oh, she's going to be an Afghan. She's going to represent women. You guys can't represent. You can't represent black people's whites of eyes. How can you have an expert speak for women? You want to speak for women? Speak for the girl who has to walk down from the people stacking in New York City. And be claimed free. Get down. I'm gonna watch what science does. Watch what humanity helps each other do once we get all the sick fakes out of these games. Follow mandated law. And if you work for YouTube, unblock my thing. Check what you saw. Make sure I get a name for those judges and prosecutors now. I want the Wethersfield Police and the state police, because state police through time, Whiting Forensics has had roles with child offenders and putting fake things in databases with the same people involved with the tied cases and body dumping spots. The body dumping spot of Billy Grasso is one of the ones with the Enzo Fianza on off the state judicial branch offices. Also with victims of the World Trade Center who had collusion with these names involved. Stop hiding behind victims. In other words, Sandy Hook has Sandy Hook promises, and they have lawyers and doctors associated with them, and the courts associated with them, criminally foreign influence. Make sure they get on paper too. The courts associated with the Sandy Hook promises and the Twitter upskirt pictures with the Ian and the FBI further involved with them with that. And they block people's posts and they pretend passion is emotion. Make sure they get on paper, and I want a response for them now. Make sure they pick one name in sequence, get on paper with the Wethersfield Police and their police chief, retired and standing. I want the other name tied to that house, 80 Carroll Drive. Now you give me a peaceful means to counter. You guys playing games. I'm not going to keep begging you. Make sure you get on paper one name in sequence. I'll show you how to handle violence calmly.